Welcome to MSA Weekly. I'm Bill Sammons with Kevin Short of MSA, and today a topic that I think I really enjoy talking about. There's a saying, Kevin, familiarity breeds contempt. I think there should be another saying, familiarity breeds complacency.
That's true.
And you had the opportunity with your wife, Debbie, to travel a little bit over the Easter weekend. You went to some churches out of our area.
Yeah.
And you went in with your knowledge of lighting and audio and video and so on. So you look at things from a different perspective when you go into these houses of worship. And I'm just really curious as to what you saw and what kind of lessons maybe you got from it.
It was very unique because in my life, I don't think I've ever either not been in my home church or working in a church over Easter. So this was kind of odd. And we took a vacation, and it just happened to be we were gone over Easter weekend. And so we just picked churches at random, that were out of the area. We were down in South Carolina, and we were working our way back. And so there was nothing special about these churches. One thing I did find out and I don't know how it goes around here, but the church, it was kind of different, especially on Good Friday. It was difficult for us to find out who was actually having a Good Friday service. Because I asked AI to start with. They gave us a list, and then I was trying to call those churches to confirm it. Nobody was answering their phone. Went to their Facebook page.
Wow.
They would say something about Easter, but not about Good Friday.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
And so of the 6 places we called, one person answered their phone.
Wow.
That was probably the place that looked the least appealing. And the one that looked the most appealing, they didn't answer the phone. We checked in the hotel room, and I said, let's give this place a call one more time. And they did. And they said, yeah, we are having a service.
So there's takeaway number 1.
Yeah, that's make sure that you communicate with your audience that
it's
you're actually
Super Bowl weekend for churches. So let's
exactly.
Yeah.
So we attended this Good Friday service, and you never know what to expect technically, and like I said, I'm going to walk in there, and I'm going to be real sensitive to that.
Right.
And they hit it out of the park. I mean, they did the nitpicky stuff that I would have. If I had any criticism, it would be very nitpicky. They did a really, really good job. The praise team was good. They wrote some of their own music. They were playing original songs. Their pastor, they were blessed to have a pastor with just a golden set of pipes. I mean, you'd have hired him in a heartbeat to be on the radio. I mean, he had a great voice, and and that would be he'd be a pleasure to mix because it's like the voice sounded really good, and but they had there was like one glaring issue that this complacency thing you're talking about. I think that because they're there every week, that they're probably not picking up on this. It's really so bad. I'm surprised somebody hasn't complained about it, but. That it was glaring to me. It was the brightness of their upstage video wall. It was so bright you couldn't look at the minister. It was, you had to squint because it was just
wow.
And so it's like that. Not only is that a difficult to look at, it's costing you more money because the meter's spinning, outside because that thing's running at such high power, and it's also burning out the pixels in the video wall. So. Why somebody hadn't turned that down, we couldn't. But everything else about the service was great. It was a great experience all around, and we really, it's always good to be able to go and actually worship and enjoy participate in the service without being called on for some technical responsibility.
Except you needed sunglasses to look at the stage.
Except we had to look away. It was they had anything that came on that video. A screen that had anything white in it or anything light. Yeah. You just couldn't look.
So you visited two
So another couple churches. One church. There was one guy that he was mixing in headphones, and I really think the blend was good, but some of it was a little harsh sounding, and I think maybe. I've never been a proponent of mixing in headphones. I think that's something that. Would have, that surprised me. That I could have been so much better. I would have still given them an A. They did a really good job. And then one of the other services we went to was really, it was probably the largest. These churches were all in the 300-400 seat capacity, and that was the largest service. And they did a really good job. The big issue for me, like the countdown clock. I think should mean something.
Totally. That's a pet peeve of mine.
When it gets to 0,
something should happen, right?
Something should happen. meant nothing.
Oh, wow.
In fact, they started it again. So it started at 5 minutes and went to 0. And then 2 minutes came up and it went to 0.
Yeah.
And then we sat there for about 40 seconds and the crowd was really quiet. They turned the lights down and you could have heard a pin drop.
Okay.
And then it actually did start.
Maybe it's not normal.
But there was 40 seconds. There was something going. There was something was wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like the countdown clock should. So that's a pet peeve of yours. So I was joking to Debbie. I said, someday when we retire, we should just do this and go around and visit churches out of the area, and then maybe write a little report. They could hire us to just write a report and tell us what we saw.
A wonderful idea.
And without I mean, what do they say about a critic? Is somebody that watches the battle from the mountaintop and then goes down to the valley and shoots the wounded. That wasn't. I mean, look, this church that had the glaring video wall issue, I'd have given them an A+ on everything else. So you're not like there to beat them up. Yeah. But I mean, I think sometimes you can get a blind spot because you're so involved.
Agreed.
I recorded music for a long time, and it was really hard to pull. When you're recording a song in the studio and you're recording it and you've heard that song 200-300 times, you get a real convoluted picture. You can never put yourself in the position of the audience that's listening to it for the first time.
You lose your objectivity.
You absolutely
very much. Yeah.
You cannot be objective.
When I managed a radio station, I did this a few times. Because I would talk to somebody about this very topic. So one day I went in the morning and I pretended I had never been to my radio station before, and I noticed things. I noted our building needed power washing. I noticed weeds. I noticed a light bulb out in the lobby.
Wow.
And those things because my head normally was down to get to office to start working. Yeah. But I stepped back and I was like, okay, it's my first time here. What am I seeing?
I've had that here. Like, when guests are coming, you look at it from a different eye.
You do, yeah.
Yeah, because, company's coming. Right. They probably ought to, there's cobwebs in that corner. Let's get rid of those. So it's kind of the same thing.
I think it's a very healthy thing to do. I think of that TV show with a British guy and he goes to restaurants and he finds out, and maybe get an accent.
Exactly.
Great topic and something to think about for your church. Hey, one thing we want to ask you to do, actually two things. One, if you have any questions, Kevin@MidSouthAudio.com. Glad to answer them now. Then,
absolutely,
right?
yeah.
Secondly, however, whatever platform you're watching this video on today, could we ask you to like it? What is it? To like it,
and follow.
And follow.
Yeah.
And maybe share it. If it's a topic that was interesting, share it with some people in your world.
So a lot of the episodes that have recently aired, we've had a lot of comments. A lot of people are becoming more engaged in the show, and we really appreciate that. So, I mean, the comments, just about anything. It's a recent episode with Austin and the drums. A lot of comments about that. It's good, and I like what we've been doing now with introducing the staff.
Yeah,
because a lot of people don't know who's here.
Yeah,
sometimes I don't know who's here. So
until payday, and then you realize how many.
I know that. Yeah.
All right. So now we're going to go watch the show, and we're going to analyze it, critique it like we've never seen it before. So
exactly.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on MSA Weekly.